Hello, this is the full history of Canada by me, Sonith. There's right now a huge fan in the background, so that's why for the noise, it's like actually there's a heat wave going through to Ontario right now. Hello, I am the Almighty One. We will explain Canadian history to all the mortals watching this, and who are shh. You don't have a choice. Sorry, not sorry. Alright, now let's start the presentation. In 26,000 BCE, then 6,000 years later. Over time, the nomads became the native people of North and South America. By the time the Europeans arrived, there was 90 million natives in North and South America. Kaboom. These people constructed many different cultures, each one very complex. Some, including many of ours, still exist today. It is now around the year 1000 CE that the first ever Europeans arrived in Newfoundland. Around 1000 AD, Eric the Red was blown off course from Greenland and landed in modern-day Newfoundland. And as soon as they came, they found Greeks, so they called the land Vinland, like Finland. The natives were probably very confused for the appearance of Vikings in their land. But soon the relationship turned sour. Whether it was disease, fighting, or long, hard winters, after a while the Vikings packed up and left. Damn. In 1492, Christopher Columbus was sponsored by the Spanish king to find a new route to India. What he instead found was a new continent. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue and reached St. Dominique, I think. Yeah. On the island, he met the 80 people, not Haiti, 80. Soon enough, he killed them all. After 200 years, they would fully be dead. Their island was turned into a slave colony, but we will touch upon that more later. Soon, a lot of countries started to try and also get land in North America. Jean Cabot, Jacques Cartier, and both thoroughly explored Canada, while Columbus and a couple other Spanish explorers explored Mexico, Central, and South America. Some died, some survived. Those who survived used the help of the natives. The 1500s was also the start of the fur trade. Jacques Cartier also found something that looked like gold. It wasn't gold. Soon, European countries found out what it was in the New World. So England was like, just the little continent in the New World. This will be a long one. In 1608, a ship filled with British colonists set sail for North America. They started clearing the land and setting up a colony. Soon the natives discovered a fence surrounding an area. They had made a colony. They were making farms and building houses. The new colony faced hunger, disease, fights with the natives. Still they persevered. Yeah. Then other countries, like the Dutch, French, and Spanish, started to try and make colonies in the New World. Just 1 year before this, Samuel de Champlain, with some explorers and the help of natives, founded Quebec City. They started working more and more on the fur trade. These traders were called coureurs de bois, or voyageurs. At this time, there was a craze for fur hats. This meant France was rolling in it. Then in 1624, some Dutch colonists set up for the New World. They made New Amsterdam. And they made the town in 1625 and made it for cool. Don't build things when the British are around. The British also made Samuel de Champlain surrender Quebec City for a while. Also this time, some French families started arriving in the island of modern-day Nova Scotia, eventually becoming Acadians. As a new colony grew in America, they started using slaves. Canada and U.S. We aren't left out of this terrible history. So now England was rolling in it. Why'd I make this? But France had a problem. So they sent 800 poor orphan girls to New France. By 1700, Europe looked like this, and North America looked like this. Cool, right? All of Canadian history. By 1700, Europe still looked like this, and King of Spain Charles II is dead, probably from the result of centuries of inbreeding. Another consequence of the inbreeding is having no children. His will was this. Now, the thing that every country in Europe wanted was one empire not having too much power. So, to make sure that France didn't get control of Spain, Hanover said that their prince caused Spain. This caused a 12-year-long war. We won't be focusing on that, but in short, at the end of the war, it's that the French king's grandson would become king of Spain. They just had to give some of their land, like Acadia. Wait, is that Acadia? So, this is going to lead to the 7 Years' War, right? It does lead to the 7 Years' War. Now they're at peace. They get mad. They get angry. Britain forces the Acadians to give their guns. They get angrier. Britain forces the Acadians to swear an oath to the British king. They get angriest. Britain deports Acadians from their land. Friendly enemy. Did I fucking tell that? They get angriest. The Brits, led by a general named George Washington, will be important later, capture some disputed territory. Some other French came too. It devolves into battle. Bam! The 7 Years' War has begun. The French made some victories. The British equalize. Slide 100. Cool. Britain wanted Quebec, specifically Quebec City. Problem is that the entrance to the St. Lawrence is blocked by a fortified port called Louisbourg. The French surrendered. Losing was inevitable, but by slowing down the British, Quebec was safe. 4 years, so Britain slowly slogs through St. Lawrence and the land around it. They eventually reach Quebec City. Now they converge for the biggest, most important battle in Canadian history. General Malcolm starts rushing at the British. Kaboom! Kazam! Italy collapsed. Some fire from the Indigenous allies helped, but it's no use. General Wolfe was struck by one of these shots. The last thing he sees is the French in full retreat. The most important battle in Canadian history only lasted 20 minutes. General Montcalm was also fatally injured. He lived just long enough to realize that it's over, Quebec is falling. 4 days after Montcalm's death, Quebec surrenders. France tries to get Quebec back, but they can't. After 4 more years, France loses the 7 Years' War. France is forced to give up all its territories in North America. Spain also gives Florida. But now Britain was broke, so they started taxing the colonies. You know what happens next. Now wait a second, this ain't Canadian, this is American history. Therefore I will explain. Fine, you can see it. But it has to be short. Okay, fine. The Brits are fighting us, and we destroyed them with help from the French. The reason the American Revolution was so important for Canadian history is because thousands of Loyalists were forced off their land into Canada. Loyalists had their houses and farms burned. They were tarred and feathered. Oh my. In total, 80,000 to 100,000 Loyalists fled to Canada. After our independence, we were only focused on one thing: manifest destiny. Yeah, the British gave us some land, but it wasn't enough, so we started expanding westward. After Spain gave the Louisiana territory to the French, Old Boney gave it to us for 3 cents an acre. What the bald eagle forgot to mention was that this was due to the Haitian Revolution, the biggest labor revolt in history. Okay. During this time, the British were fighting with the French, so the British needed sailors. So the British would cross into American ships, forcing the sailors to be in pairs, sent to the British Navy. I'll finish. Wait. This led to the War of 1812, which we won. No, it was a draw. We burnt out the White House on August 24th, 1814. We killed and hurt 2,000 soldiers, while only 21 of our soldiers were hurt at the Battle of New Orleans. Fine, it was a draw, but the real losers were the natives, who were betrayed by their English allies. Damn, bro, really? The main result of the war was that the U.S. and Canada would never fight again. Well, ever since
Did
the
you finish recording?
No, not yet. Problem is that I was kept on getting interrupted. Guess I gotta finish now. Ever since the 1600s, the fur trade was the most important and richest trade in North America. For a long time, it was controlled by the Hudson's Bay Company. But in 1779, a new trading company was developed. Its name was the Northwest Company. But soon they get angry and started fighting over their land, over the fur trade. They started fighting each other in the war called the Pemmican Wars. The last 8 years, in 1821, the Northwest Company and the Hudson's Bay Company merged to form the Hudson's Bay Company. As you can see, along the merging. Then, 204 years later, in 1843, the British issued a proclamation to stop slavery. Although slavery was gone, racism was still very much there. Black people were treated way worse than whites, both for authority and common folk. One day in November of 1837 in Lower Canada, and a lot of people agreed with him. Then in December in Upper Canada, and a lot of people agreed with him. They started rebelling and fighting against British soldiers, which went as well as you would expect. William Mackenzie also set up a country called the Republic of Canada. Nobody cared though, and it only lasted a month. To prevent this from happening again, the British tried to give more freedom. This eventually led to Confederation. Ever since 1849, there was proposals for a free Canada, but these didn't get much traction until the 1860s. Starting in 1864, there would be a number of conferences about uniting. By 1866, it was decided. The British agreed, but they still wanted Canada to be in line with them. The date was decided, and it happened. Page 200. It managed to line up perfectly. Canada had been working on the railroad for quite some time now. There's some people in the background, but it was slow. So they started doing what America was doing, importing Chinese workers to build the railroad. Many of these Chinese workers had to do more dangerous jobs while getting paid half of the white workers. Speaking of immigration, by 1910, almost 1.5 million people had immigrated to Canada. This was for many different reasons. But soon, something big would happen. It would test Canada's loyalty to the British, but most of all, it would be bloody. World War I. On the 28th of June 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand got double-punked by a Serbian terrorist named Gavrilo Princip and sent back to the lobby. You see? Austria invaded Serbia, which was attacked by Russia. France was allied with Russia, and Germany was allied with Austria. Germany invades Belgium to get through France's defenses, but this angers Britain. So now their allies and colonies are at war, including us. Here's the list of Canadian victories in World War I. Battle of Vimy Ridge, Battle of Ross, Second Battle of Ypres, Third Battle of Ypres, Battle of Amiens. Also, we killed the Red Baron. Not so fun fact, Canadian soldiers would oftentimes love committing war crimes, for whatever reason. Oh, look who came to the party for you. It's like, hello. Just came to remind you that it was only because of us we won the war. Bye-bye. Oh, how much I hate him. Anyways, most people know about World War I because of... After World War I, it took some time to recover, but soon everything was getting better. Then the Great Depression. An already weakened Germany was greatly damaged by this. In times of crisis, people often turn to the extremes. So in September of 1939, the Nazis and Soviets allied to invade Poland. World War II had begun. First thing we did to help the British was with our men and women in the Air Force. After the fall of France, the Royal Canadian Air Force played a major role in helping Britain defend itself. And, hello, date again. We only involve ourselves in wars when our country is threatened. Or our oil, of course. Germany tried to invade the Soviet Union, emphasis on tried. On June 6, 1944, the biggest ever naval invasion happened in history. The Canadians advanced far to Juno Beach. On May 8, 1945, Germany surrendered. Then 3 months later, Japan surrendered. World War II was over. 45,500 Canadian soldiers died for our freedom in World War II. Throughout history, many groups were ill-treated. Many people fought back, but real change didn't happen until 1960. The Bill of Rights was created. The main ones were freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom to practice the religion, and protection from discrimination. We changed our flag from this to this in 1965. It looks way better in my opinion. There was lots of issues in it, so in 1982, Pierre Trudeau revised it and made the Canadian Charter of Rights. And here we are today. Massive? You know what else is massive? Anyways, anything else you want to do? Oh. At this point, just read a dictionary. It'd be like too long. It'd be like 5 pages long again. I'm not doing this. Thanks to YouTube, Google, and Wikipedia links. Thanks to my mom, dad, and brother. Thank you, Arnab, for working on the science project. Thank you, Alders, for letting me post this on your channel. Thank you, Jacob, Dennis, Evan, Leon, for playing Uno. Thank you, Hannah and Alexa, for not yelling moo or mango lassi. That's actually... Thank you, Mr. Novak, for letting me present this. Thank you, Bayan, for being Bayan. I affirm that we are all treaty people and acknowledge that the land we live on is located in the land of true treaties. These treaties have been signed with the Mississaugas of Credit First Nation, First Nations of William Treaties, who were the Mississaugas of Alderville, Curve Lake, Hiwa, Scorodoa Island, and the Chippewas of Brisiwo, Rama, and Georgina Island, who is our closest neighbor and partner in education. To honor this agreement, we will take up our responsibility to be respectful of their nations, knowledge, and inherent rights of sovereign nations. We will respect their relationship with these nations and recognize that our connection to this land is for the continued relationship with these First Nations. And we acknowledge that our shared responsibility is to respect and care for lands and waters of future generations. I probably mispronounced it all. I'm sorry in advance. And most of all, thank you for watching. This really helped. Damn, 250 slides? Absolute cinema. And